It's that time of the year. You need a vacation, you need a break, and you want to eat some good food. Some of these places I would recommend that you only try at least once in your life. Some of these are the best bang for your buck, and others are worth the line because we went to Japan. Best food, of course, would result to the longest of lines. So be prepared for that if you are planning on your trip, because majority of the restaurants I will recommend to you do not have reservations. First on the list is Cafe Reishu, located at Shibuya, Tokyo. There was a waiting time of around 30 minutes before we got seated, and if you like 2D and 3D art, this is the place to be. Now, you could have them create a customized art for you, but they also have a selection of images you can choose from, and that is what we went with. Kiwamiya is located at Shibuya Parko. Now, the mall opens at 11 a.m. And if you go straight to this restaurant by that time, you would only need to wait for 30 minutes. Now, if you arrive, let's say at 11:30, which is the exact time the restaurant opens, there is already a long line in which you would wait for 1 to 2 hours. They have a halal menu as well as instructions on how to enjoy the hamburger steak. Chopsticks are under the table. They have stainless steel ones for cooking and also wooden chopsticks for eating. They have this Imari beef steak and also the Hamburg. A lot of people order the Hamburg since it's cheaper, but since we don't get to go to Japan very often, we went with the Hamburg and the steak. Both of which melts in your mouth. You get to cook them before you eat them so they remain fresh and hot. You also have the option to add some side dishes, which in my opinion is also worth it. It includes unlimited rice, salad, soup, and a soft serve ice cream. So if you're really hungry, this place, I think, is worth it. Cooking the beef was really an exciting and enjoyable experience. You get to watch it and also end with the soft serve ice cream, which is creamy and completes the meal. Next up is Nabezo. They have 2 branches, and unlike most of the places here on this list, this one has reservations. They have beef and pork and also unlimited vegetables, mushrooms, and other things you can add into your shabu-shabu, or maybe even sukiyaki if that's what you prefer. Personally, not one of my favorites since I like my meat lean, as in 0 to little fat, but based on the Google ratings alone, this one is worth it and is enjoyable for most people. Tsumugi is one of those places that also accepts reservations, but when I tried to reserve, the site requested that I input my Japanese number, which I don't have, seeing as I'm not from Japan. So if that also applies to you, then you better come early. We went there 15 minutes earlier than the opening time, and we had to wait a while, probably an hour, and also group to be sold the 18-dish breakfast set. Overall, I would say everything about this experience was worth it because those individual dishes all have different textures, flavors. Some are salty, some are sweet, some are dry, some are wet. Basically, it completes the palate. It's like having those hotel or Michelin star foods, except that it's local, it's not Michelin star, and it's a lot more affordable. The only downside with Tsumugi is they only serve a limited number of 18-dish breakfast sets per day. So if you don't have a reservation or if you come in late, then you won't be able to enjoy the things shown on this video. Speaking of Michelin stars, Nakiryo is a place where they had 1 Michelin star. You don't have to worry about lining up physically because they have this ticketing machine, at least when we went there, wherein you can get a number and then just it also indicates on that ticket what time you can go there. We were able to order from the machine what we want. Usually they would recommend the tantanmen ramen, but I instead got the shoyu one. It was really good. The broth was good. It was flavorful. It's not high in sodium, so if that's your concern, this is the place to go. Really good, really enjoyable, and also affordable. Steak Lodge is a place where you would go if you're craving for something similar as a sizzling pepper steak. Except this one has a Western theme to it, especially if you go inside the store, you will notice that immediately. The meat is not so lean. As you can see, there is a high amount of fat, but it's also what makes this meat so flavorful and so good. I think this is cut and dry, simple. You're hungry, you want something heavy, you go for a steak, you go to Steak Lodge. About a good amount of ratings on Google, and that's also the reason why we went here. Streamer coffee, it has a lot of branches, and it's good to try once in a while, especially if they have those seasoned drinks like we did, and if you enjoy latte art. So what I have here, the one with the purple leaves, is just lavender, honey, coffee, and I don't know what else they added, but it really tasted good in my opinion. It's not so weird. It took some time before my tongue got adjusted to the taste, but once it did, it was a pretty enjoyable experience. Kodaime Hanayama Udon has a very long line. About 1 to 2 hours. It has those flat udon. You might see that on Instagram, pretty common. And it's really good, especially during the winter where it's so cold. So we were standing outside for a good 1 to 2 hours again. It was freezing cold. The winds were so strong. And then once we come in, we got to enjoy that soup, that udon. It's really good. Then later we went to Cafe Sensing Touch of the Earth. They specialize in matcha. I love the hot matcha latte that they have. The cream, the creaminess of it, and the matcha, it really goes down. It's not too bitter either. I liked it better than this cold one with the ice because the cold one was really bitter. Next is Kura Sushi. You probably know of this main branch since it is all over social media. I'm not sure if you saw it already, but it's a really good place. It's a big place. The turnover was really quick. Might be a little confusing once you see those screens, and you would need to get your number to be able to be seated. But once you get through that, good selection of conveyor belt sushi, as well as you can order some sushi that you might like or some dishes that you might like. There's also some cups at the top and some matcha powder wherein you can put some hot water, the typical ones that you will see on conveyor belts. We were really hungry, so we were just getting a bunch of sushi, some chirashi don, and then you can put the plates into the slots and then play a game. Unfortunately, we forgot about the plates once we were full and we just left. So I wasn't able to get any footage to show you guys about the game. They also have this hamburger, good amount of protein, some cheese, and that's about that. Egg kitchen, we got here as soon as they opened, so we were really early, but immediately the place was full. A good place to have some breakfast. Love the egg, the hard one or the fluffy one. You get to choose what you would like. Then we went to enjoy the longest. It's near the egg kitchen at a place called Harajuku. They have those potato twisters that are a few centimeters long. I forgot the exact numbers. I think we got the longer one, 35 centimeters, and the longest one was 42 centimeters. They also have those pastry little ones. We got those also. They sprinkled the potato with powder, and you can see me right now eating, taking a bite of it. It's really good, and you get to enjoy the shops near Harajuku as well. I tried the cheese pull with the other pastry that I told you, but it was a definite fail, so I just filmed myself biting into it, trying to make a cheese pull, failing a lot of times, and I'll just show you the cheese. Look at it. Anyways, it's good. It's unique. And something I never get to try anywhere else. People have been trying out those colorful cotton candies as well. There are lots of youths here shopping here and there. Azuki to Kori, simple enough, serves shaved ice, but it's really unique. So this place, the chef that started it, worked in a Michelin star restaurant and now has opened her own shop, or his own shop, and serves this shaved ice cream. It's unique. It looks simple enough, but once you get the bite out of it, it's so flavorful that I think it warrants the line, the 1 hour line that we just waited for it. Another line, probably 1 to 2 hours also, is Gyukatsu. It stems all the way outside. Unlike some of the places like the dessert place I showed you, which has those paper tickets. Also, this one doesn't have those, but you can see here it has a complete set. You can choose how many grams of beef you want. It's basically beef cutlets that you get to cook in a stone grill. Now, you can cook them one at a time or multiple beef gyukatsus at the same time if you're really hungry for it. I noticed that some of the people in this place was able to cook at least 3 pieces at the same time, so that's also what I did. Anyways, if you're hesitating and want to eat it the right way, there is also an instruction on how to do it. Otherwise, this is one of the places I will go back to, especially if I don't mind waiting for a line. Next is Tsujihan. This one is in Akasaka Hills, and it was said in Instagram that there are not much people lining up here compared to the main branch, but when you got there, surprise, there is a line. About 1 to 2 hours again, but still, it's really worth it. So they have this English menu. You can enjoy your rice with the toppings, and you can see here the chefs are preparing it. They will serve you this sashimi to get you started, and then after that they also give you the sauce. Egg sauce, whoops, I kind of slipped. And then here is the salmon roll and the uni, really good. It looks so delicious and I'm excited to bite into it. If only I can relive this moment. Now pouring some light soy sauce. And once you get 1/3 of the bowl remaining, they will add some dashi or some soup stock and some greens, sprinkle a zest of lemon, and we are back to eating the remaining Tsujihan. Oh, the bowl reminds me of all the flavors. Anyways, this one is a little pricier. I would say the priciest one on the list. Yakiniku Washino was promoted as an A5 Wagyu place, which explains the price. It's not as filling as the most of the things I've shown you on this list. I mean, by the time we were finished here, we were really hungry. It's like eating at a fine dining restaurant. They have this beef fat, I think, to cook and grease the grill so that you can use that. It adds more flavor. It's really enjoyable, melts in your mouth, but for the price, it's one of those places that you would try at least once in your life, but it's not something you would go to every single time. But of course, in social media, once you see it, they will promote this as really good. Definitely come back here. I think, yeah, the marbling, as you can see, is wonderful. The flavor is there. The rice would be enough as well, but unfortunately, this amount, I think, cost us around 19,000 yen. And we were eating for 2 people. So despite having the rice to help us be fuller, the beef just wasn't enough. And once we gave them a Google review, as you can see here, they will give us a free piece of meat sushi with some wasabi. Next is Latte Art Mania. They serve black coffee, and look at that. This fine young man is preparing some powder, preparing the machines, cleaning it. And we only had to wait a few minutes after they opened. We were there on time, like exactly if they were open at 9 a.m., we were there 9 a.m. sharp. So he had to prepare for a few minutes, about 15 to 30 minutes. And then he asked us if we wanted to see the latte art. Of course, who wouldn't, right? So that's what he did. A different latte art for each cup. And that is what you are seeing right now. Overall, if I were to describe this, it has that like texture, a little rough texture, which is in a good way. And then the coffee, you won't be able to notice that it tastes like coffee, the bitter coffee. But once you sip into it, it will really make your senses go woof, and then you're awake within the first 5 minutes. At least that's what we felt. If that place was in our area, despite it being expensive for a coffee, I mean, it's really expensive. 1,000 to 2,000 yen, similar to the 3D art one. I will go back here, but not as often. It's not as affordable compared to the other things I mentioned. Tanbo Yayogi serves some Teishoku set. You can see here there's some broth, there's some rice, salmon roe as usual, some fish, and then you would pour that stock on the rice and the fish. If you get to think of a traditional Japanese set, probably I think this is what you will have. A lot of locals are dining in here, and by the time we went here, the place is packed. There's not a line though. That's convenient, especially after traveling by train about a few minutes to here. And finally, to end this video, Warakia Roppongi. This is a 900 degrees grilled fish, which is very traditional. Best way to end it. You can see him loading in the straw, and there are the fish and other foods that people ordered. They have a whale meat on the menu, so that's kind of interesting. Maybe there's a whale meat being prepared right now, but that's how it goes. He put some aluminum, I think, also below there, and then the flame just gets stronger and stronger until it reaches the roof. They also served us with some fruits and some dipping sauces. Also got some drinks, and here is some sushi to start. I mean, we were really hungry by this time, especially after watching him prepare all those food in front of us. It's a good show, but it's also a little about steaming hot. Overall, I would go back there because the amount of smokiness in the fish, unique and different, that I think the words I will be using to describe this just won't be enough. I'm planning for more videos in the future, mostly mukbangs, because it's easier to make and it's more like interactive like this, so that's the thing I enjoy. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.